Well, Reverend Gregory Seal Livingston is president of the Leaders Network and a civil rights campaigner. He's from and lives in Chicago, but joins us from New York, where he's taking part in protests against the killing of Daunte Wright later on Friday. Reverend, thank you very much for making the time for us. Have you seen this footage from Chicago, and what do you make of it?
Yes, I have. And it is the kind of footage that, too sadly, we become normalized by that footage, from Laquan McDonald, George Floyd, Adam Toledo. We can go on and on. That footage it speaks volumes, and it's the same thing every time. And, Rich, I think what's really important here, the question that we Americans must ask, is it really possible for white cops to police black people? And that question is significant. And if we were to historically contextualize that question, it is, can the sons and daughters of slave catchers police the sons and daughters of slaves? And that's part of the problem, where you see the police in their DNA. There is the American history of white supremacy, and catching blacks and browns is merely sport, like hunting.
You mentioned slave catchers there, the start of American policing in the South. Where do we go from here? What are the next stages? What needs to change in American policing? Sure
thing. Professional policing is less than 100 years old in America. Started around the 1930s. There was even a time when black police officers could not arrest a white lawbreaker. Where we have to go is where we always go. Where the civil rights movement with King went. We have to go after the money, the purses. By that I mean taxpayers in major urban cities in America have paid hundreds of millions of dollars, even billions of dollars, in police brutality and police abuse cases. And so what we have to do, and what I find to be very interesting, is that employees will not do anything that their managers will not allow. And what happens with cities is that the city government is always in some kind of struggle with the police union, the police fraternities. So instead of making the taxpayers foot the entire bill, as it were, for these police brutality cases, make the unions pay half. You see, because the only thing that is going to stop white supremacy, which is merely a scheme generated by greed to exploit the dark continent, is reparations. Reparations in terms of the taxpayers paying half and the police unions paying half. That's the only way it's going to happen. You have to hit the money, just like Dr. King and everybody else did. They understand that's the only thing that white supremacy, especially in the police ranks, will understand.
This latest video comes as the trial of Derek Chauvin draws to a close. An officer is charged with the killing of Daunte Wright. What reaction do you expect this latest video to provoke?
Well, this latest video is more like kindling to the fire. And also because the young man was 13, of a slight build, a non-threatening figure. And it happened in an area in Chicago, Little Village, where my Latinx brothers and sisters are. And there are gangs, but there's gangs everywhere in every urban city. And police officers are trained. And I think, again, because that culture lends itself to giving officers a license to do that to the black and the brown. The same thing would not have happened on the north side of Chicago. The same thing would not have happened in Tribeca or Soho in Manhattan. It only happens in certain areas with this kind of frequency. And also we see that there is some kind of prosecutorial conspiracy where these officers never are really given the pain that they distribute.
Reverend Gregory Seal Livingston, thank you so much for making the time for us.
Thank you.